Welcome to an example of graphing a parabola. This equation right here is a parabola, meaning it's a U-shape. Let me write it over here for us. Y equals 2 parentheses x plus 3 squared. So when we have parentheses squared, it's easy to graph. Why so? Well, it turns out the number right here in the parentheses, if we take the opposite of that number, so that would be negative 3, and then whatever number is out here, added or subtracted, you might be saying, well, there's no number out there, right? So what number could I put out there that wouldn't change anything? What number could I imagine is out there? Because I need a number out there because this will help me find the vertex, which is the center of the parabola. So this process I'm showing you right now is how you find the center of the parabola, of the U shape, which is the most important point, right? So for a parabola, the center, whether it goes up or down, the center, called the vertex, is the most important point. Well, it's super easy. It's easy to graph when they give you parentheses squared format. You just take the number in the parentheses, take the opposite of that number, and then the number out here. Now you say, again, well, there's no number out there, right? But we need to put a number there that won't change anything. So we put plus 0. So this is 0, because you use the same as that number. So opposite of the first number and same as the second number. So this is important to put in your notes. Now, you might say, well, why do we put plus 0? Because that doesn't change anything. You might say, well, how about, couldn't we do plus? Sometimes we do 1, right? Yeah, not when we're adding, right? If you add 1, that's different. If I have a number like whatever, 10, and I add 1, it's not the same anymore. But if I multiply by 1, then it's still the same. My point is, sometimes in math, we are missing the number in the front here, which is a multiplying number. If you're missing a multiplying number, make it 1, because that won't change. It doesn't change anything to multiply by 1. But if you're missing an added or subtracted number, don't make it 1. Adding 1 changes things. Make it 0. So do you see why we do that in math? It's because we have certain processes and we need numbers to be in certain spots to help us do what we need to do. In this case, graphing. In other problems, finding a maximum or a minimum or solving a word problem. The point is we need to have certain numbers in certain spots. And yet we can't change the problem. So if the number is missing, you've got to put a number there that doesn't change anything. So if you're missing an added number, make it 0. Adding 0 changes nothing. If we happen to miss this, if this number in the front was missing, if it wasn't there, then I would say that's the same as multiplying by 1. Because again, multiplying by 1 changes nothing, and adding 0 changes nothing, right? All right, so that's why we do that in math. We want to change, I call it plastic surgery. We make it look different without being different. Remove the wrinkles, same problem. We added 0, that changes nothing. So take the opposite of the number in the parentheses, that'd be negative 3, and the same as the number added out there if there's nothing at 0. So what about negative 3, 0? Right there, negative 3, 0. That's going to be our vertex. That's the center of our parabola. So we're almost done graphing this. Now that's the main part. Now one more important part. Let me write this equation again. You can put the plus 0. We don't really need it anymore. Now here's the second part. This is a little trick that I noticed. I'm sure many other people have noticed it as well. It's sort of a little bit shaky, but it works. If you put whatever numbers in the front here over 1. So even if this is a fraction, even if you had a half, put it over 1. If they gave you y equals a half x plus 3 squared, I'd put that over 1. So whatever number they have there, just put it over 1 and treat this like, so it's like a slope for one step. It only acts like a slope for one step. It won't do that afterwards because this is going to be curved, right? It's not a straight line, so there's not really one straight slope. It's curved, so it's changing its slope, getting steeper and steeper all the time. But this will help you and make it very easy to find your first step. Treat this like a slope just for the first step. Rise over run. Remember, slope is a rise over run. So whatever number they put in the front, just put it over 1. So rise 2, from the center, go up 2, rise 2, and then go over 1. Over 1, or run 1, rise 1. Boom, there we go. That is going to be a point on the parabola. That'll give you an exact, precise point. If you treat that number in the front like a slope for one step, it won't continue to go at that slope, but just do it for one step. Up 2, and it's positive, right? So it went up 2, over 1. Up 2, over 1. And you know it's symmetric. So if it went up 2, right 1, it also goes left 1, doesn't it? Because they're always symmetric. So that gives us exact points to graph our parabola. Treat that number in the front like a slope for one step. Go up 2, over 1. That's why we need that number in the front. And if it's missing, you make it a 1. Okay, we can answer the questions now. What is the vertex? Well, that is the -3, 0. And what's the axis of symmetry? That's the line that goes right through the middle. That would be this line right there. So that's the axis of symmetry. And what's the equation of that line? Well, it hits the x, this is the x-axis, right? And this is the y. It hits the x-axis at what? -3. So it's just x equals -3. That's the equation of that. So there we go. That's how we graph parabolas when they have parentheses squared format. Those are the easy kind to graph. When they don't have parentheses squared, they're harder. But this is a nice easy one.